Hi guys, welcome to my January reading wrap up. I'm hoping that this video won't be too long, purely because I read quite a few books in January and I don't really want to waffle on. If you're wondering why I'm wearing a scarf as well as a shirt, it is because our boiler has died and we're currently waiting for someone to come and fix it, so I'm a little bit cold, and of course this does not go together at all. So yeah, I read 11 books in January, which I'm really happy with. I didn't expect to read 11 books. Normally I show you, the physical books that I've read, but in all honesty I'm feeling far too lazy to get them all off of my shelf, so I literally just have printouts of the covers. So the first book that I read in January was Jane by Robin Maxwell, and this is one that my good friend Dan from Book Disorders got me for Christmas. I really did enjoy this one. It was a little slow going. It started off, the first couple of pages were really good and really hooked me in, and then it took a long time for Jane to actually sort of, because it's basically the story of Tarzan but told from Jane's point of view. And I understand that she's a woman that is studying sort of anatomy, and that's really different, and she has to sort of battle against all these men and all these ideas, but it actually took a long time for her to get to the bit meeting Tarzan and living in the jungle. So I just wish that while it was interesting, there was too much of that, and it needed to have got going quicker. But it was really, really interesting, and I gave it 3 out of 5. The next book that I read was on my Kindle, and it's Breathe With Me by Kristen Proby. This is, I think, the penultimate book in her With Me in Seattle series, which as with any series, there are some books that I enjoy more than others. This was a really good one. I enjoyed it a lot. I gave it 3.5 out of 5, and if you haven't read the With Me in Seattle series, I really recommend that you do so. The third book that I read in January was sort of a new adult novel, and it's Forever His Baby by Morgana Phoenix. That's what it looks like. And this was one I picked up kind of on a whim, because I kept seeing it on Goodreads, it kept popping up, and I thought that I would give it a go. I did really, really enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, because I thought it would be some creepy sort of love triangle. Lily finds out that she is pregnant, and the father is her best friend Cole. They made a pact together that if they sort of got to graduation and they were both virgins, they would lose their virginity to each other. They've got no romantic feelings towards each other, but that's what they did. And obviously Lily's pregnant, but she's always been in love with Cole's big brother Sloane, and I really did enjoy it, apart from kind of towards the end. It takes on a completely different tone towards the end. I thought that everything was kind of wrapped up very quickly and very neatly. And I mean, there is going to be a second book that is about Cole, but I'm not entirely sure. I've just read the synopsis and I'm not entirely sure that it sounds like something I'm going to enjoy. But I thought that was sort of resolved very quickly, and the final chapter of this took on a completely different... It almost had sort of a BDSM thing going on in the last chapter, and that was not present in the rest of the book, so it was very jarring to read that. It was very peculiar, but other than that I really enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 out of 5. The fourth book that I read was Forever With Me by Kristen Proby. Now this is the last book as it stands in the With Me in Seattle series, and it was good. I really, really liked... Oh god, I can't remember his name. Oh god, I can't remember his name. Basically, I really liked the guy in it. I thought he was really sweet, and I really did like him. But Alicia is the girl, and I just found her really, really irritating. I don't feel like I got to know her very well, which was a shame. I really wanted the series to sort of end on a high. I really, really liked him, but I didn't feel like I got to know her very well, and their sort of romance and chemistry seemed to sort of flare up out of nowhere. but I gave it 3 out of 5. The next one that I read was Me and Mr. J by Rachel McIntyre. This is a young adult novel about a young girl who sort of falls in love with her teacher, and this was very interesting. I really liked how it was handled. Basically this girl is being bullied, and I mean some of the bullying scenes were pretty horrific. Like, in some places I couldn't believe what I was reading. I really felt for her, like my heart went out to her. I couldn't believe what absolute bitches and bastards some of these kids were. Like coming from someone that has experienced it, not even at the same level as this, I could not believe what I was reading in some places. And basically Mr. J is their new teacher, and he's someone that obviously isn't horrible to her. She has a bad home life. Her father's lost his business, so they're struggling for money, and her mum and dad's relationship is basically going down the pan. So basically her life is just terrible, and this teacher sort of is there for her, trusts her to like run this school project, and she sort of starts to have feelings for him, and she's like, he can't feel the same towards me, can he? And it was very interesting. It almost sort of vindicated that sort of relationship. Obviously it's a sort of relationship that can't be, but I feel that it's hard because I don't want to sort of condone that sort of relationship, but from reading it, it's almost like at that time in her life she needed it. But I don't know, read it and see what you think. I gave it 4 out of 5. The next book that I read was one that I read from NetGalley, and it was Pretending with the Playboy by Tracy Livesey. Didn't really enjoy this one. Don't really remember an awful lot about it. This Playboy, he's basically a dick. I didn't like him very much at all, and the only reason he sort of comes home is because his aunt is dying, and sort of his aunt's PA, she was taken in by her when sort of her family died, brings him home, and apparently there's some sort of attraction between the two, which I did not feel at all. I really didn't enjoy it. I gave it 1 out of 5. Don't recommend it. The next one that I read was Holding Strong, an ultimate novel. Now I don't know what number in a series this is, but they're all sort of, they have their own stories. You don't have to read them all. I didn't hate this one, but I didn't love it either. This is another one I don't really remember an awful lot about. It's about some sort of fighter getting involved with some sort of, I think she's a nursery assistant or something. But they've been fighting their attraction for each other, but of course I've not read the other books, so I haven't seen that. So it just sort of seemed to spiral really, really quickly. There wasn't much build up to it. So yeah, didn't really enjoy this one. I gave it like 1.5 out of 5. The next book that I read was another NetGalley request, and that was The Man to Be Reckoned With by Tara Pammy. I was really wanting to be reading sort of light contemporary reads. That's what I really wanted to be reading, was like romance reads. I don't know why, that's just all I really wanted to read. But I didn't enjoy this one either. This one was a lot like Pretending with the Playboy, and I didn't enjoy this one either. This one just seemed to be written quite poorly. Like, I couldn't follow it. It seemed to jump all over the place. Didn't feel any sort of connection with the characters, and I just didn't enjoy this one. This one also got 1 out of 5. Okay, now we're getting better. I also read my advanced copy of A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas this month. Obviously I have my ARC, but it's somewhere behind me. When I received it, I just couldn't wait to read it, so I had to dive into it, and I'm so glad I did. It's probably my favourite book of the month. I was quite worried going into this. Obviously, I love Sarah J. Maas's Throne of Glass series, so I was like, how can this live up to that? But then at the same time, I was like, Sarah J. Maas is doing a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I have to read this. It was fantastic. I don't want to say too much about it because I do think I want to put up a review closer to the time that it's out, because one of my reading resolutions this year is to put up more reviews on this channel. So I am hoping to do a review of this. If you want to see a review of this, comment down below. But I gave it 4.5 out of 5. Absolutely loved it. Highly recommend that one. Another one that I requested on NetGalley and was so happy to be approved for was Falling for Gillian by Kristen Proby. As you can see, I read a lot of Kristen Proby this month. This is the third book in her Under the Big Sky series, and I absolutely loved this one. This one is about Gillian and Zach, and you've sort of seen them in the previous 2 books and you've just been dying for their story. I absolutely loved it. A really quick paced, a really cute, sexy, contemporary adult read, and I absolutely loved it. I gave it 4.5 out of 5. Really enjoyed this series. And then the last book that I read was for a buddy read with Alicia from Behind the Picket Fence, and I think as I'm uploading this, she's still reading it. I managed to get through this in like 3 days. I read it really quickly. I don't know how. It just happened, and that was Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover. Despite reading it really quickly, I didn't love it. I've heard so many good things about Colleen Hoover, but I've read Ugly Love and I had a few issues with that, and I've read this and I have a few issues with this. This is sort of a love triangle book, which is an absolute pet peeve of mine. I can't stand them. And this one was just a bit strange. Sydney finds out that her boyfriend is cheating on her, so she moves out, and Ridge is deaf. But they've been sort of... She's been listening to him play his guitar, and there's some sort of connection, so he offers to, you know, let her come live with them, and then they just supposedly have this massive attraction. They just have this chemistry together. But Ridge has a girlfriend called Maggie who he will never ever leave. So it's just... I found it a bit odd, to be perfectly honest. I gave it 2.5 out of 5. Didn't overly enjoy it. But yeah, so I don't know if I don't know if that will be the last thing I read by Colleen Hoover, because it just doesn't seem to be working for me. So that's everything that I read in January, guys. I hope you had a great start to the year, and I will see you guys soon. Happy reading.